So I'm not in London, so I'm not watching the television in London, and I don't watch TV anyway, but from what I'm gathering, as of 8 o'clock on Friday, it's sounding like they've beat Sadiq Khan, these ULEZ protesters. It's starting to sound like Sadiq Khan has been beaten. Earlier on, they were saying that Sadiq Khan was winning, that the Labour Party was winning. But now people are saying in the comments that it's starting to look like Sadiq Khan is losing or was lost. Now, the thing is, this Kingsley Hamilton, who, I'm not opposed to Kingsley Hamilton because obviously, he's flagship the whole ULEZ campaign, as well as other people as well, like Matt Hardy and Claire Dyer and the rest of the people. But Kingsley actually stood as a independent candidate himself, right? And this is for the St Helier West area, right? So Kingsley apparently only got 367 votes, right? So he didn't win. The Conservative candidate won with 1,342 votes. But if you look here, the Lib Dems got 1,336 votes, which is amazing. He says total includes spoil or whatever. So that's absolutely outstanding. That is astonishing, though. I think this is monumental because 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, that's 6 ballots. So you'd have thought they would have to count them extremely carefully because the spoiled ones, you can't really have spoiled ballots there as much anymore because they've all got the counter numbers on the back, so you can check with people. Ours never had them on. And I actually complained about that to the Electoral Commission, and this time they've got them on. This is the first time ever in history we've got code numbers on the voting papers. So I don't think any of the past elections have been valid. And notice they've brought that in now, they've got voter ID, when they could have had that in the whole time, and there could be less questionability to it. I think the voter ID thing is just trying to push the whole digital ID culture and the whole surveillance state culture, really, but that's a separate matter. So this is actually amazing. This is actually the area that Kingsley Hamilton was running in. And with all the attention from ULEZ and all the attention from Stop ULEZ and all the sort of Get Khan Out campaign and the whole anti-Labour campaign, the Conservatives, they were all saying vote for Sue Hall, vote for Sue Hall, vote for Sue Hall, right? They were all, I think illegally, unfortunately. I mean, I don't have any personal grievance with Kingsley Hamilton. I mean, I like Kingsley Hamilton, but they were breaking the law left, right and centre. Kingsley's just put a live video, right? He was in the car with Simon Forthrop. Simon Forthrop is a councillor himself, right? Councillors aren't meant to be helping other people into government unless they're a candidate themselves. Forthrop is not a candidate for London Mayor. Forthrop was not standing for London Mayor, yet acting as Councillor Simon Forthrop, which is a 24-hour title like Professor, Right On, Sir, Knighthood, or any other title, Forthrop has broadcast, published through public speaking, made available to the public through any means and any method. Forthrop has broken the law. It's kind of upsetting, really, because Forthrop is this kind of, he's almost like Penfold from Danger Mouse. He's this kind of like, you think he's a harmless character, but he's a councillor. He's got professional responsibilities, right? And he's encouraging law breaking, right? he's walking around as a Conservative member of government, and he's saying this is okay, this is legal, you can do it, I'm doing it, and it's criminal, it's a crime, it's actually a criminal offence, because he is advertising and promoting, publishing, making available to the public in any form and by any means electoral influence. In the mayor election, he's not standing for it, and he is Councillor Simon Forthrop. This is Bromley Council trying to help Susan Hall to get elected, right? It is illegal, and if the Electoral Commission do not pursue that, they are corrupt. Now, I actually believe that, the Electoral Commission are starting to realise that things are being done wrong, right? Those voting tickets, ballots, should have had counterfoil numbers on the back of them for the last 10 years here, but they never have. We don't need voter ID. So all those spoiled ballots, when people they can check on, contact people to confirm who they voted for. Because when it comes down to this, right, if there are only 10 spoiled ballots and one of the political parties wins by 500 votes or 100 votes, the spoiled ones aren't going to count, right? But when it comes down to this is like 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. There's like 6 votes between this. So it's very important to clarify, if anyone made a mistake or error, contact them if you know their counterfoil number, right? So you can confirm or correct it. I voted for an independent candidate. I'm not even in London, but I voted for local council. I voted independent, right? The independent person who was standing last time didn't stand this time. I voted independent. But for our mayor, we had a mayor election here, right? And I have not voted for any of those candidates on there. And I've explained to the Electoral Commission why I haven't voted for any of the candidates on there, because I believe that, like the original American Constitution in the 1700s, where they decided they were going to vote for the president by petition, where you could write down the name of the person you wanted to be the president, right? It was like the right to petition, free open subject. This is how they did it in England in the 1600s. They started having the mayor put forward his preferred candidates, but voting the jurors in, the councillors and other, the sheriffs and other officials, it was a free open process for a long time. And on the 1688 Bill of Rights, it says elections ought to be free. And I don't think that means just that you don't have to pay money to go and vote, although that we pay for it all through the council anyway, through taxes. I believe that it's free for anyone, right? But not just free for anyone to stand or come forward. Where we are meant to be the ones who nominate. It's not meant to be who will stand. It's meant to be who you want to write down, who you want to choose, who you want to nominate. And it's been corrupted through various times. We've got a big issue at the moment with the Liberty of London and the fact that there's not meant to be, by law of Magna Carta, any tax on personal property, road tax or river tax, right? And the congestion charge went against the Magna Carta, and ULEZ is going against the Magna Carta. And then there was the whole thing with the women's voting. Well, apparently women could vote, right, until they made it illegal. I think it was the First Representation of the People Act. They made it so women couldn't vote, and then the suffragettes did all that campaigning to get the women's vote, when they kind of historically, there wasn't anything between male and female. There's nothing in the Bill of Rights that says that you have to be a man or a woman, right? Or rich or poor. Only certain people could vote for parliamentary candidates. If you had certain lands, or if you were rich, if you had certain amounts of money, you could vote for a parliamentary candidate. I don't think poor people could, or like serfs or farmers, but the local people could vote in their local. They elected like the jurors and the mayor and the sheriffs. They could vote in the local elections, the people, because they had a guy who went round, like the sheriff or whoever, and blew the horn. He used to go around, ride around on the horse to all the different areas, like if he did the job properly, and he was supposed to blow the horn because it was traditionally like the voting time, right? And then they would go and vote. So I think that the American Constitution originally kind of like tried to uphold the Bill of Rights, the ideals in the Bill of Rights of the right to petition freely and openly, because really the election is kind of like a petition. But the thing with a petition is you have got to promote it, you have got to advertise it, and you have got to do all the work asking people in order to get an action from government. The election is an official action from the government where they do ask everyone to cast their opinion, but that opinion that they're casting is really meant to be a free, open opinion. Now, in America, they started having these tickets, voting tickets, electoral tickets, and political parties started putting down their dream team or their preferred candidates, and people would just go pick up the ticket, I'll go with whatever, they're proposing. It's kind of a little bit like the favourites in betting, Are you just going to bet on who they say the favourite is, who's likely to win? The thing with voting at the bookies is that you put the bet on first. They give you the statistics. They're telling you who they think's likely to win, but you don't bet on who you want to win. You bet on, if you're playing for money, you bet on who's likely to win or who's going to win, right? But it's meant to be who you want to be in government. That's the point. Vote for who you want there, right? And the thing with elections is you don't put the money on first. They do all the promo and the campaigns, which is all meant to be fairly controlled on TV and only with certain funding. And then you're supposed to go and vote, right? And then you count all the votes up, right? Now, the problem is that when you've got people like Councillor Simon Forthrop using his own council title, privilege, resources, he was in the car with Kingsley Hamilton, but, he's likely got his own car as well. It's cheating because it is the government, even if it's just your title or your speech, you're using government-given assets or title or privilege to help someone get into government. And if you're the candidate, then fair enough, but there aren't actually supposed to be any candidates because every person's meant to nominate who they want, although the candidates really are just people saying, oh, yeah, I'm up for it, I wouldn't mind doing it, or I'd like to do it, But, so, these results for Lib Dem, Labour have definitely lost. So coming back to this whole Kingsley Hamilton with his local campaign, although the campaign was the whole of London, but when Kingsley Hamilton's standing here, right, they've definitely thrashed Labour. Labour have definitely lost. So it seems like the Stop ULEZ campaign, but, was some of that campaign illegal? Were some of the materials that they made Class E materials supporting Sue Hall and Conservative? Who's going to pay for those? Because you don't pay, it's non-profit, you don't pay for Class E material, right? And they're not going to go claim it back from Revenue and Customs. So who's going to give them the money back for their Class E materials that weren't for profit? Or who's going to give them their tax money back for it? It's not being put through the candidate or the agent or the Electoral Commission, and it's not going to be claimed back through Parliament. So those materials aren't going to be lawfully and correctly classified through purchase and through taxation. That is why I believe that the Representation of the People Act, it says that no one may incur any expenses for election material. Well, that means Class E materials. And that means no one is effectively, if you understand that law and if you interpret it clearly and properly, it means that no one may have it or create it, incur expenses for it, unless you get it from an agent or a distributor or a political party, like the Monster Raving Loony Party. Because in order to make it, manufacture it and produce it, you have to incur expenses. Now, if you understand that intelligent, intellectual principle, then a lot of the Stop ULEZ petitions that started veering into from Class F political material under the Bill of Rights, right to petition, and veering into electoral material, then they've crossed over. And I think a lot of people might have been aware of Simon Forthrop and the Tories cheating, and also been disgruntled with them. All of the Stop ULEZ campaign and the money that people are given just to stop ULEZ, and oppose the Mayor's project. But then it ended up becoming some kind of conservative Tory campaign. And I don't think people like that. I don't think people widely like the fact that Simon Forthrop was cheating, and generally didn't like the whole thing that the Stop ULEZ ended up becoming a kind of pro-Tory campaign, even though Kingsley Hamilton was himself supposedly standing as independent. And what we've got in the results in his area is an extremely close tie. I mean, even if it was one vote difference, it's literally 6 votes. So the Electoral Commission want to be extremely scrutinous about checking those ballots. I wrote down on my mayor election ballot, I did vote for independent for local councillor, right, this time. I have voted Lib Dem in the past, but I can't support the Lib Dems anymore because Ed Davey is part of the Privy Council. Maybe every political party leader ends up becoming part of the Privy Council, but I can't support a party that's leader cannot understand, interpret, intellectualise or comprehend any wrong that could be possibly done by King Charles III, and the Privy Council are protecting him when, it's questionable about his Black Rock Vanguard involvement and taking the rights away, even though the Act of Settlement says he can't, with the World Health Association and the World Economic Forum and so forth, all that going on with trying to override his rights, which I complained about. So that's why I'm not voting for Lib Dem anymore, because Ed Davey has taken this odd, weird oath. Well, even the Lady Chief Justice has, and she's in charge of, judicial conduct investigations. So, what can you actually do? It's like Faulty Towers. To be honest, this is absolutely outstanding. Even though I didn't vote for Lib Dem, I think this is absolutely significant. 6 votes. It's not really often that you get an election going on 1 or 2 votes. I think 6 votes is within that number that's extremely, extremely close. So I think Labour definitely lost here. Clearly lost. I think the campaign against ULEZ and Labour was successful, but it's definitely not a Tory victory. It's not a Conservative Party victory at all here. They've only just scraped it by the skin of their teeth here. And Kingsley Hamilton, even though I'm not personally opposed to him, I don't dislike him. He's done a lot of amazing work. It would have been better if he didn't encourage the Conservatives to break the law, and I don't think he fully understands and comprehends that, but they were just focused on and completely had their mindset on stopping Sadiq Khan. This shows that the people, the public, aren't up the Tories' back rear end. They're not kissing, they're not Even though they've rejected Labour, they are not convinced with the Tories or all for the Tories. I mean, it's definitely absolutely split with a tiebreaker, really. I think the Electoral Commission should probably look into these results and double check them, really. Should the Conservatives be disqualified for cheating? Simon Forthrop needs to be and should be investigated. I gave this is the example I gave to the police, right? There is an offence for the police. It's called illegal canvassing. They're not allowed to themselves advocate any political party or preferred party as a police force. They're not allowed to oppose or support any political party. They're not allowed to interfere with any election material. And I also believe that they're not allowed to intervene with petition material either. Now, with Extinction Rebellion in Brighton, some of the police had Extinction Rebellion stickers, which they're not really supposed to be allowed to do on duty. And they had them inside the helmets, stuck inside the helmets, apparently. That really, if they would have put those Extinction Rebellion or any political party emblem on while they're serving, that is a crime. It's illegal police canvassing because they're canvassing for a political cause or campaign with taxpayers' money when they're meant to be impartial, right? And that is what Simon Forthrop's doing. That's why it's illegal for the police to do it. So it doesn't matter if you're PC, sergeant, chief, inspector, constable. It's councillor Simon Forthrop. He is the local council, right? It's questionable whether professors at the university can or can't. You're getting into the area of Tim Wilson with his YouTube channel, but I don't want to go into the professor. The councillor is working, it's government, he's working for the government. So I don't know if anything is going to be done about it, but I think that I claim that is one of the reasons for these results, because people aren't happy with all the cheating that the Conservatives have been doing. They've been cheating and they've been breaking rules and advocating it, So it's a shame the Lib Dems didn't win, actually, even though I didn't vote for Lib Dem this time. I actually decided that I was going to claim the 1688 Bill of Rights, right to a free, open election, and under Magna Carta, the complete opinion of the peers, which in a legal lawful process doesn't have to be by rule of law. It can be either it's a lawful due process that is judged by rule of law or by the opinion of the peers, the jury. Well, when we have an election on, I am judging. I am the peer. So I actually wrote down my own nomination of who I wanted to be the mayor. I wrote that down and I explained the legal basis for it. And I explained that I complained to the Electoral Commission about it, right? And that it was lawful. So that's what I did, because I actually think that the current electoral process is currently unlawful. And if you think that's like a big thing, but look at that's what happened with the suffragettes. The government made law which really was in contravention of the 1688 Bill of Rights for elections, and the women suffragettes kicked off about it, complained about it, and had an entire campaign because the government acted against law. And this is what the government are doing now, enacting some of these laws that claim to take your rights away. But when you look at some of the legal claims from Transport for London, that they aren't actually admitting that it's a political action or it's using political rights. They just write unknown persons down and then put an injunction on a road, or one person unknown. So they're going about it illegitimately and unlawfully. So these Kingsley Hamilton results are very, 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 very significant. It's actually not really, I think it's a defeat for the Conservative Party, because they haven't got a majority. They were an absolute tiebreaker with the Lib Dems. It's Labour who have been defeated, and there's no outright victor. I'd like to see the turnout results for this. I'd really like to. He hasn't put the turnout. I'd love to see the turnout results for this election that Kingsley was in. I want to see how many people turned out. If it's under 50%, then we've still got a lot of people who are just, losing faith in the system. If it's as low as the Lewisham by-election turnout, they only had 20% electoral turnout, which was dire. But most, even in Northern Ireland now, most of the electoral turnouts are under 50%. So they're not even getting 2/3 turnout. If this turnout is under 50%, that will be significant, because that means that if the Tories and Labour didn't win, and they also didn't win with a 50% turnout or less, then they really are running into problems, severe problems, because they might win or even have a tiebreaker, but it's on like absolute minimum turnout, So, to be honest, I think the Lib Dems did very, very well here. I'm actually disappointed that the Lib Dems didn't win, because I don't think the Conservatives deserve to win with all the cheating, electoral cheating. And if the Electoral Commission aren't going to take legal action against any of the people, then it's disappointing. It's very, very disappointing. Extremely disappointing. I think Kingsley did well to stand and have a try at it. He only got 367 votes, which is about half of what Labour got. I don't know if there was any other parties. He's not actually listing anyone else in there, but 6 votes split between Tory and Lib Dem is quite astounding, really astonishing. I don't actually know what the London Mayor results are. I'm going to go check. So, people are starting to say now that Khan's losing, although they were saying that he was winning earlier on. Now they're saying that he's losing. So, at least they'll be happy if the Labour Party get voted out from the Mayor of London position. I wish the same would happen here. We've got Tracy Brabin, who was a part of Coronation Street, as the mayor. She had a lot of YouTube adverts last time when she got elected. I haven't seen any this time. She had like rock solid YouTube adverts for 2 days before. I think that the Coronation Street itself, that you could go to a court in England, and I'd love to do this if I could afford it, get a solicitor. I could make a complaint to the Electoral Commission, because the Electoral Commission are meant to represent the public in anything to do with elections, and any legal case with any valid legal claim against an election or unlawful influence, we're meant to pay them as a legal entity to take proceedings, because no citizen themselves is expected to come up with the money to have to challenge the legal system if it's broken the law. It's all like a duty solicitor in a way. But I think Coronation Street, if you had a very, very good psychologist who wrote a dissertation on the idea behind Coronation Street at the time it was created, around when Elizabeth was coronated Queen, what it sought to bring together royal loyalist, royal admiration and tribute from the working class, and for the working class, a programme for the working class, but in kind of celebration of the royals, because it's coronation, right? And the theme tune is almost kind of like it's like a magic Icaro. They have these, in the jungles, the shaman have these magical tunes and Icaros, It's almost like the Pied Piper of Hamelin. That tune is repeated, every commercial break. It's like the working class brass band, the little tune. It's almost like, McDonald's are using this tune now, the whistle. It is there to consolidate identification and consciousness, the community and social consciousness of the nation, into supporting a working class group and ideology which has a royal theme to it. And it is I would say to support Labour. I will go further than just to consolidate the working class into a kind of daily ceremony, because that's what a ritual and a ceremony is, something you do repetitively. You repeat a ceremony, you repeat a ritual, you go through the same, you ritualistically go through, you get up, go to work, come home, sit down, put the TV on, watch Coronation Street, have your tea, go to bed, get up, go to work, have your dinner break, have your bacon sandwich. It's a ritualistic process. And, that's what church is, going to church on a Sunday, but they scrapped going to church on a Sunday, and they scrapped, the day of rest on a Sunday, where cinemas and theatre couldn't open on Sundays, and we had quiet. Now we've got noise all the time. They've actually got rid of the Sunday ritual and replaced it with commercialism. It's actually getting rid of Sunday as the religious, ritualistic day of rest and not working, and actually having quiet and peace from work and noise, scrapping that and replacing it with continual commercialism. I think that it's as Coronation Street is as psychologically and religiously significant to the Labour Party and voting Labour as much as going to church was consolidating the worship of the Christian religion and faith on a Sunday and having it as the day of rest as well, in the psyche, and practically actually acting it out. So, you don't have, songs of praise on every day with the theme tune playing in a commercial break every day of the week and everyone watching it. Very few people watch songs of praise now. So the Labour Party, in a way, it is also a religion of the working class, really. It's got religious aspects, It takes money, tribute. It has a ritualistic process involved in it, So, and they get to throw things into the programme, into the dialogue, into the script, to play on things that are actually happening in the real world. And now, that everyone's on YouTube, it's almost as if we've all become theatre and all become theatrics and become an act, like an act of law. And they're even throwing, accidents and incidents out there, that are getting thrown out and causing newspaper front page newspaper responses and a lot of it. But that's getting into other subjects as well. So the Lib Dem split between the Tories and defeat over Labour by 6 votes is highly significant in this. So I guess we'll see what happens with the London Mayor results. I think they're just finishing them off now. I think they've started counting them. I think Khan's behind now. I think Khan was in front and now he's gone behind. I don't know if it's been finalised or not yet. I still... What's upsetting is that this Forthrop guy, who clearly is assisting in the promotion of the London Mayor campaign as Bromley Council, they've latched on. You know, Kingsley Hamilton, he's got a big Facebook group. He's got, you know, nearly 100,000 people. What they do is they come like leeches and latch on, you know, with Simon Forthrop from, you know, Bromley Council. You know, oh, he's latched on, you know, to the whole, you know, and then Sue Hall latches onto it. They're also like coming in to get a piece of the action when the law actually forbids it, and then they're making use out of other people's, you know, promotional activities. I think people have realised this. I think people have clicked onto it. And this is why I think that these results don't clearly put the Conservatives way out ahead. In fact, you know, it's actually brought them in a tiebreak with the Lib Dems. I don't think it could have been close, even if it was one vote. I think it might as well be 6 votes off than 1 vote off, to be honest. That is exceptionally close. Labour definitely have come out as the losers. I'm going to try find out what the turnout was. I actually hope that the turnout's dropped below 50%, to be honest, because I don't think the Conservatives deserve to get voted for. There must have been more than 3, 4. There must have been more than 4 people entering this. I'm quite surprised that the other independents aren't listed. But anyway, I don't know if Kingsley will listen to this or will like it or not, but I'm going to make record of it. I'll probably send this into the Electoral Commission as a complaint, because still I don't think they're going to take any action against anyone, even though the law was broken. Because I don't think in fact, with this whole Stop ULEZ charges, it was Judge Swift. I'm going to mention this as well. Judge Swift was the judge in the High Court presiding over 5 Conservative councils against the London Mayor. Yet the whole ULEZ charge is illegal because of Magna Carta, and the congestion charge was illegal against Magna Carta. It turns out that Swift was the first person to bring a case before the new Supreme Court when they did the Constitutional Reform Act, and apparently we can't appeal to the House of Lords anymore, which is tosh. We can. And Swift also worked for the government. Swift was employed by the government as a lawyer, and he was involved in government spending, finances, which touches on congestion charge and fines and fees and so forth. He was also involved in some taxpayer money getting restored to the public purse as well. But I think that he acted on, if you check, I think you will likely find, and this is, I haven't confirmed this, you will likely find that if he's been involved in government finance as a lawyer, he may have touched upon congestion charge issues. And I think the congestion charge is illegal since 2002. But that's only as big and as huge as them taking the women's vote away for so many years, when in the Bill of Rights, elections are meant to be a free, open process, right? So the congestion charge, even since 2002, is only as bad as the whole suffragettes voting and the women's voting right against the Bill of Rights, which they had to campaign about. So I don't know whether ULEZ is going to be scrapped or what they're going to do about the congestion charge, because I am drawing attention to this, to the Liberty of London, you know, which is all of the liberties have to be retained. Swift is intimately involved. He also was a trainee judge at the same time when he was a solicitor. I don't want to go too much into Swift because I've got a JCOI complaint, and although I can include this as part of the petition evidence, I mean, I can generally set out, you know, I can set the general, you know, I can say, you know, I've got a complaint against Swift and I think that he's been, you know, employed, you know, by the government, and that could, if he's been working on charge issues and fines that he might have had set up or played a part in doing himself and representing, how can he judge a case on that matter at a later stage between the Mayor of London bringing in more fines and congestion charges. Swift is, Swift is a classic case of Oliver Twist getting involved in the, but it's not Fagan, unfortunately. It's a legal system. I really don't know what to do anymore. I think these results are good. I think this shows that, we're not all duped and conned by the Tories. We're not all duped and conned by the Conservatives. I think people are savvy to it. People have realised the Tories are corrupt. It's a shame that they weren't actually beaten as well to exemplify that. It's a shame that the Lib Dems didn't win. But it's good that they're definitely in trouble. They're definitely in serious trouble now. So that's where I am with it at the moment. Who knows what will happen next if the Tories have won the London Mayor position, yet the whole thing's still illegal. Hopefully people will start to think, okay, ULEZ is going to be ended, but was it lawful? Are anything the Tories are doing lawful? Are these political parties lawful? It's not actually just about Sadiq Khan. It's actually about, is the government, how, what are these legal implications of these rights being illegally overridden in illegal legislation? The Electoral Commission must know that, what happened with the suffragettes and what happened with the Representation of the People Act was against Magna Carta, and the women kicked off. And it really isn't about just, we want the women to have the vote. It's about the Bill of Rights say that elections ought to be free. Right? Not just money free, you don't have to pay for it, like freely. The right to petition, the right of the subjects to petition freely for what they want, So there's a lot of evidence of this in the history study. I guess you need to get all of the entire history out from all of the National Archives, all the different areas, Kent, the whole country, and kind of put it in chronological order to see exactly at what dates in the timeline that they were starting to change things and who had the freedom of nomination up till what point. There were there's evidence in the National Archives of them making mistakes and having to correct their errors the whole way through and making modifications. And the government are always trying to cheat us and get control. Like, when they suddenly have, the mayor's going to nominate the candidates now for the next mayor. You can't choose freely like you can with the jurats, with the sheriff. So, and that's what happened in the American Constitution, but that was a big thing. In America, right, we're going to have this, we'll make it officially official now. But they do that. They officially make it official, and they confirm, they reaffirm, they reconfirm, and they remake it official, like, the American Constitution or the Bill of Rights. And still, these characters like Sunak, Johnson, Priti Patel, they won't behave. They won't do as the law commands them. They're inherently corrupt, but yet all their main work from day to day is, they're criminals. If they would pay as much attention to themselves, but there's a problem, we'll have to solve it, But even then, when they bring these charges and when they use these new laws they make, what happens is you find that on paper, they're not even acknowledging the truth and fact, even when they bring a charge. Like, with Angela Ditchfield, it's criminal damage. They don't even acknowledge it on paper when there's a legal requirement or when they're bringing an injunction and so forth. It's effectively they're doing it on paper unlawfully in order to get it through, and then when you look at the paperwork, it looks like they didn't do anything wrong, right? When they know exactly what the issue is, and they're trying to prevent certain people from opposing them or doing certain things when it was made in law that people can, for a very specific reason. I mean, women's voting. Why did they even take the vote away from the women? You know, and then that necessitated people to complain about it and take political action. You know, so the suffragettes are a very good example, really. You know, the free open process. Although I don't know about being able to elect women, being able to nominate and elect women's something different. I apparently, according to the history books, it's saying that it was just kind of like, you know, it was a social thing. It wasn't actually anything in law. It was like, you know, women weren't really expected to vote, but I guess that it says they could and did, but it was just kind of like not the social status quo, the social norm. And I think that comes down to who you're going to nominate. I think people just weren't nominating or electing women, you know, not even the women were at that point until they started messing around with these Representation of the People Acts. So, you know, I'm still not happy with the Electoral Commission because the Conservative Party, they need to answer for breaking the rules and encouraging other people to break the rules. Although I think the public here have definitely demonstrated that they're not happy about it. So that's the good outcome of it. It's a shame that the Lib Dems didn't win here.